Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, good welcome to Theory of Anything podcast, episode 48, part 1.
Oh,
part 1. Ooh,
Is that what I did
nice.
there? Yeah, did you like that? A bit different to point 1. Part 1, you see, in honour, an honorary mention to A Quiet Place part 2. So this is 48, part 1.
Cool.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Ford. Welcome, Devon.
hello.
Oh, thank you very much.
Welcome, listener. Before we get started properly, I think Devon's got something to share.
Well, It's not really sharing something. It was just to apologise to the listeners for such a long gap between this episode and 47 part 1. Obviously, we've had 47 part 2, which was Fall Guys, if I'm not mistaken. But obviously, it's not a podcast, is it? It's just some gameplay, so who cares about that? But yeah, it's probably all my fault. I had some
fun chat on there.
Yeah, some good chatting, some good gaming, and
that fun chat,
and that kind of thing. My computer exploded, so I fixed it. So that took a little while, and I guess
scheduling.
My work schedule now is a bit all over the place. So it's probably all my fault.
No, I wouldn't say that.
It's your fault.
Good, because I don't think it's all my fault.
We took our eye off the ball a little bit, but our eye was taken off the ball a little bit. Not because of looking at other balls, as in football, because none of us are particularly big football fans.
Looking at no balls, thank you.
But just simply because we had other things that were pressing time and technical problems, as Devon's described. But
Indeed.
Never mind that. Just to say apologies, that's all we really wanted to mention it for. So, before we move on to our Anything News feed, where we bring new conversation and new topics, new points of interest, if you like, things that are happening currently. Let's have a few pickups. Anything from previous conversations that we've done on the show, either last time or any other time, really?
Yes, no. Well, I wanted to talk about our last podcast episode segment where we talked about MGM being bought by, was it Prime? Amazon?
Amazon, yeah.
There you go.
Amazon Prime, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just realised that Stargate is under the MGM property, so we could possibly be seeing new Stargate content as well, which would be pretty great on my account because I love Stargate.
So excited.
Oh.
Okay. So sarcastic.
Devon's thrilled. So Ford's going to be pleased then with that possibility. Does that also mean then that all the old Stargates will appear on Prime Video, do you think?
Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, probably. If they're
go back. What was the last series of Stargate with different new characters? What was that called?
That was Stargate Universe. Devon quite liked that. It's like the only one he liked.
It was on a ship.
It was all right.
It was on a ship, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was Stargate on a ship flying a long way away.
Yes. Yeah.
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 It was pretty good.
It was all right.
No, that's all I wanted to bring. So.
Okay.
I'm just excited about that.
Picking up from that same conversation that you just referred to with that whole stuff about the Amazon taking over the world, I had a thought, and I think I mentioned it in that episode, about if we were to get everything that you subscribe to, everything that was on offer, all these new video services, you'd be paying a fortune.
Yeah.
Remember that conversation?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this from a licensing point of view. I had a new concept for streaming services, and I think I might have solved it if they do it. They're not going to do it because they're never going to hear it unless they subscribe to the Anything podcast.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
Maybe they've thought about it, but they don't want to do it because it won't benefit them. But in a way, like the music licensing works, you know what I mean by that? For our church, okay, we pay a license to play music.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And each year you have to send in a list of all the songs that you played or used the software, the rights for. Yeah. And then what happens is the artists get a monetary reimbursement for the percentages of what was used in their name, you see. So I was thinking about this. If we hit upon a figure, I think maybe £30 a month, okay, and then you had access to all those platforms that exist. I know this is never going to happen, but this would make a lot of platforms a lot more popular. you could get on every single streaming platform there was, and then somehow the companies have a log of what you watched, and then the percentage of your £30 goes to Amazon or Apple or Disney or what else have we got? There's a load more, isn't there?
Netflix.
Netflix, of course, Netflix. How could I forget Netflix? So all the players who are in that field get a share of the £30, depending on what percentage of viewing you did with their platform.
So it's kind of like in England where you have a BBC TV license sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of, but it's a share, a share of. So that then I think certainly more people would be watching more different platforms, and so those platforms probably get a bigger reward. There's not many people, as far as I can tell, I know, who got Apple TV. Okay, so they don't know what good stuff is on there. But if they could watch Apple TV as part of their £30 a month subscription fee, they could see some of that great content.
Foundation is coming out soon.
And then the competition comes in that the platforms know that they want their share to go up. They've got to produce the best content. You see?
Yeah.
So it's just a thought. It's just an idea. I think
It's
it
too
could
good to
work,
be true.
but will they ever do it? I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it could ever happen.
Yeah.
But
I think
think about it. There's a lot of people.
A month.
A lot of people are only probably subscribing to one or two of the available streaming services, and maybe £30 isn't the right margin, right bracket to go at. Maybe £20 would entice more people to sign up to it. So you get two services for £15, say, or all of them for 20.
It's a good thought.
I thought you'd shoot me down in flames, but
I mean,
Yeah.
no, they're not going to go for it, but I'd like to see it happen.
no, I know. I'd love to see it happen, yeah.
Sounds good.
Because at the moment, you slip in and out of different ones. You might have a month on one and a month on another. I know that's one way of doing it, but it's a hassle, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Paps, you need to get all of the streaming services on the phone, all in a conference call, and tell them how it is.
And pitch it to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Punt it, but pitch. I could go on the Lion's Den, couldn't Lions?
Dragon's
Is
Den.
it Lion's Den? Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den. I think it sounded right.
Yeah, Lion's Den's where Daniel hangs out.
That's right. Yeah, I knew I'd heard it somewhere. Yeah. Oh dear. Very good. Let's move on, shall we, to our Anything news feed.
And now it's time for Anything Newsfeed.
Okay, first up then, we've got a couple of things here going on in our Anything newsfeed. I wanted to ask the question. I've been trying to catch up on my podcast listening of my regulars that I listen to, and I'm still a long way behind. And it's interesting, actually, to be listening to some particular podcasters in the whole area of movies and discussing whether James Bond film, No Time to Die, is going to be launched in April. So that shows you how far back I am with some of my listening choices. Yeah. And here we are now, as we record, at the first week in July, and still there is no sign of James Bond. And then I thought to myself, where is James Bond? So I did manage to find... the Cineworld website do have a list of their release dates for the rest of the year. And so there's a couple of other highlights I wanted to bring, and I thought you might be intrigued to know where some of the highlights of the year's film releases and when to expect them.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going through by month now and listen out for when we get to James Bond. The next big release at the time of recording is Black Widow, which is coming out in 3 days' time.
I'll give that a big thumbs up. Looking forward to that one.
But by the time this comes to air, it probably will already be out on the 9th of July. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing that, definitely. Then there's several others, but the next big one after that we've mentioned before, on the 17th of September, So August is a bit of a quiet month. I know Suicide Squad in August, on the 6th of August. You interested in that?
I might be. It depends if it's any good.
Okay.
The last Suicide Squad wasn't that great, and
No.
just disappointing. But yeah.
Okay. It doesn't seem to be called anything other than Suicide Squad. There's no reference to it being a sequel. Obviously, I knew of it, another Suicide Squad film, but is that going to make 2 films called... Oh, it's The Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay. That's weird. I don't like that.
They've just added a "the" in front of it.
Huh.
Because this is going to get abbreviated to just Suicide Squad, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. I guess they can't.
The next one Ford might be interested in is Dune.
Ah, yes.
Dune or June. June. On the 17th of September.
Yeah, they missed a trick there, not releasing it in June, but all right.
Yes! June in June. They did, didn't they? Oh, well done.
No,
Right.
but I am looking forward to that. Yeah, it's
I
great.
know, yeah. Looking forward to it. I'd like to see the old one again, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think it's looking a bit aged now, isn't it?
Well, I watched it quite recently, and I quite enjoyed it still. So
Yeah, very good. And then, believe it or not, September the 30th, drum roll please, No Time to Die,
Ah.
James Bond film. The 25th James Bond film, no less.
Huh.
Yeah.
25th.
The 25th James Bond film.
They need to give it a rest, to be honest.
Oh, I know you're not a
25th
fan.
film.
I know. And of course, Daniel Craig's last outing as 007. So I'm looking forward to it. The trailers I saw about 18 months ago looked very good.
Yeah.
I think from the time of completion to the time of release is something ridiculous. So,
But there was only 14 books. How does that work?
well, I didn't know that. Wow, that's interesting. A few more interesting ones. 12th of November, Ghostbusters Afterlife. If you're
Not
into the
interested.
Ghostbusters film, no, okay. Shout up, Devon, if you've got any
Is
comments
the
to make.
Ghostbusters one got the same cast as the most recent Ghostbusters?
I thought the most recent one was the all-girl cast, wasn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, so I don't know if it's a sequel to them or if it's going back to an all-guy squad
Yeah.
of Ghostbusters. I don't know. I don't even know.
Or
if I've
even
seen
just
them.
different all girls. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
you
was
were.
wrong with the old ones?
Let's not get into this.
Oh, interesting.
It's a bit like that, eh? Okay. And then the following week after Ghostbusters is another one I'm keen to see is Top Gun Maverick on the 19th of November. Now that is a long gap to its sequel. I can't remember when Top Gun came out originally. I won't bother looking, but it's a goodly gap.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this one. I enjoyed the original, but if they're gonna, I don't know.
More of the same.
I'm dubious.
I bet they'll play on the whole "oh, you've aged a lot" routine, won't they? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, when these movie stars come back after a long gap, that's what they usually do.
Yeah, they'll be like, "You're a relic. No one needs you anymore."
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing with James Bond, aren't they? If I remember the trailer properly.
All right. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Deb?
I mean, I'm not really a Top Gun fan, am I? So
No, you're not any of these fans, are you? Shout up if you are.
okay.
Not shut up, shout up.
Oh.
Yeah. Then a little bit of a gap to the 17th of December, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, I'm very excited about that.
I
thought you
heard
might
this
be.
one, rumours saying that they're going to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in this as well.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the previous Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Oh,
supposed to be
really?
a multi-dimensional type thing.
Yeah, like a
So they-
Spider-Verse people
Yes,
coming
that's what I was just going to say. Yeah, a bit of a coming together sort of play on the Spider-Verse. Interestingly enough, I can go right into the future in October 2022. Into the Spider-Verse 2 is being released.
that'd be good.
That's another little add-on. So
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned. I mean, I do trust Marvel and Sony to make a good, superhero film, but I'm a bit concerned they're overdoing the whole multi-dimensional thing.
Yeah.
That sounds like it get quite tired quite quickly.
I think I might be wrong, but I think you kind of lose a bit of jeopardy if there's another universe that this didn't happen in, sort of to worry about.
I mean, they're messing around with that a lot in Loki right now as well. So
Are they?
Yeah. It's all about multiverses and everything, and timelines and whatever.
It's a bit of a writing. Well,
A loophole.
writers. You can bring back dead characters, can't you?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they do with it, but I'm a bit skeptical.
One more to mention. I think we'll end it there because it's the last one of the year on the 24th of December. Believe it or not, Christmas Eve, The Matrix 4.
Oh,
Excited.
Yeah. Christmas Eve.
Fan. There we go.
Is that Christmas Eve sorted then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's if these dates are to be believed. Let's just hold on and see, what with everything else that's going on in the world. Who knows what could happen next?
Of course.
So that all started because I was wondering where on earth or where in time is James Bond, and now we know. Yeah.
Wow.
well.
September 30th. Not long to wait. Not much longer to wait. Okay.
Well, speaking of films,
Yes.
there's rumours and hearsays and trailers dropping about a Sopranos prequel.
Yes, I'm
Now,
excited.
Yeah, I know you like Sopranos, so it's called The Many Saints of Newark. I don't know.
Yeah, Newark. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything to say about that?
I do actually, yeah. I mean, Sopranos, I have to say, out of all the TV drama I've ever watched, is probably my favourite of all time. I've only been through the whole lot once, but I know other fans of Sopranos have on their fourth and fifth viewing of the whole 7 seasons, I think. I can't remember now. I forget now.
Is it better than Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't even hesitate.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's the best TV ever made. What's interesting me the most about this is that the key character's actor who played Tony Soprano was played by James Gandolfini, and it's a prequel to the whole TV series. There was, in fact, six seasons of it, 86 episodes. But that character, Tony Soprano, is being played by James Gandolfini's son in the real world, the actor Michael Gandolfini. Yeah.
That's very clever.
That is going to be good because actually there's a good likeness between them. You can look at Michael and say, actually, you do look like a young
James.
version of your dad, James. Obviously playing the same character, but earlier on in his life. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm disappointed. When I first heard about it, I thought it was another TV series, but it's not. It's a 2-hour-long film. So that's my only disappointment, is that there's not going to be much of it.
Yeah.
But if it's made by the same makers and the same kind of feel to it, it should be good.
Apparently, it's dropping on HBO Max and in cinemas. So,
good.
I suppose for American viewers, HBO Max, I guess.
Yeah.
The rest of us probably. Can we get HBO Max here? I don't think so.
It's Sky Atlantic. I think that's HBO.
Oh, is it?
And you get the same things on now.
Ah, okay.
I think anyway. Don't take my word for that, but
Sky Atlantic is an excellent channel. They've got some fabulous stuff on there, I must admit. Yeah.
You can thank HBO, I guess.
Yeah,
I think so.
That's all good stuff. Good news to hear. Yeah. I got a couple of things I wanted to say before we move over. Let Devon take the lead on the main segment. When I play a DVD through my 4K telly, the quality is really rubbish. Is there a setting I need to change on my 4K telly to make a DVD look decent?
Or are you just used to higher resolutions in DVD?
No, because when I play it through another telly, which is an ordinary HD telly, it looks perfect.
Oh, maybe your TV's downscaling it too far, the resolution, because you're trying to get to 4K, but it downscales the other direction. I don't know.
Yeah,
you have to flick through the settings and have a little look.
Because it's an OLED telly that I'm using, and it's struggling, I think, to give good image. So yeah.
It's probably 720p, the DVDs that you're trying to use.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Blu-ray or something.
Well, Blu-rays play on the OLED 4K telly fine.
Yeah,
but,
that's what I'd
DVDs
imagine.
That are struggling.
It's a difference in resolution, so it's probably downscaling too much.
And then one more thing to mention, another TV drama to really recommend to you is a TV drama called Time. This was a drama set in a prison with, you will know his face if you saw it. Oh, it's BBC. Yeah, so you can watch this on iPlayer, and it has one of your favourite characters from
Game of Thrones. Oh,
Game of Thrones.
Sean
Sean Bean, yes.
One
Sean
of
Bean.
my favourite characters.
Well, it was when Game of Thrones was good, wasn't it? Season 1.
Yes, season 1.
Yeah. So Sean Bean plays one of the main characters in the TV series Time, and actually, we thoroughly enjoyed it.
Huh.
Probably not quite as good as Sopranos, but actually really did get a lot from it. And one of the main reasons we enjoyed it was it was quite moving to watch. Had me a little bit moist-eyed.
Wow.
The whole concept of forgiveness. So there we are. I'm spiritualizing it now for you.
Excellent.
Yeah, if you want, I would recommend you watch this. If you can take some of the grittiness and the saltiness in the language and the grittiness in the visuals, and bearing in mind it is a prison drama, you will not be disappointed, I don't think. So recommend it. Yeah.
Does Sean Bean die?
Sean Bean always dies.
Sean Bean does always die. Yeah.
Sean Bean's plays my favorite character in Lord of the Rings, but not in Game of Thrones. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that, really. That's all the anything news I wanted to bring, or we've brought between us. So
Very nice.
I think it's time for us to move on to our main feature segment.
Excellent.
Ooh.
And now it's time for Devon's chosen subject.
Okay, I guess it's over to me then. Today, I just wanted to talk about and discuss with you the meaning behind the term that we use in the Christian circles called worship.
Uh-huh.
There's no right or wrong answers. I'm looking for a discussion, just like we did for our other one or anything like that. You know, it's all just a bit of maca chat, as I say.
You always bring something to the table that expands my mind. We talked about the word religion last time, didn't we? So,
Yeah.
I think you led that conversation, and I did come away from it feeling duly challenged by some of my preconceptions. So
Wow.
let's see how this goes. I'm excited for it. Yes.
I love the way he says there's no right or wrong answer, but secretly he says, I do have very strong opinions.
I do have very strong opinions, yeah. But that doesn't mean they're right.
No right or wrong answer unless you disagree with me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely wrong.
Go on then. Present your case, young man.
I'm just kind of... I'm basically fleshing out some things that bother me, and you can tell me that I'm being dumb. That sounds good.
I can't wait.
Right. Ford pretty much knows what I'm going to talk about anyway, because I've probably talked to Zero off about it before, or talked to Tim Zero off it while he's listening to me. Obviously, I've been going to some very young churches for the past couple of years. And even when I was in Chester, I went to a young church as well, and I had the same kind of thing there that I'm going to talk about. Yeah.
Ask a question before you go any further. When you say young church, do you mean a church for young people or a church that's not been going very long?
It seems to be aimed at young people.
Okay.
Yeah.
As in, like, the congregation is very young.
Right.
Physically aged young, anyway.
Okay. Aimed at the younger generation. Good.
Yeah. Which obviously has a lot of benefits and a lot of downsides as well. Just the whole premise of aiming to be young, but that's not really my point anyway right now. And the issue that at hand is what they would deem to be worship, right?
Right. Okay.
So obviously we have some songs in the church. We would say that was worship, right?
Mm.
But there's a lot of songs that I've been seeing going around that are written by these young churches or used by these young churches that talk a lot about ourselves and not actually worshipping someone else.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to bring an example.
I'd like to hear your
may.
examples. Please do.
So there's a song by, I'm not going to tell you who by because it's kind of like trash in the song, but I'll kind of just read a few verses of, well, not a few, like a few lines. So there's this line that says, "There's hope, I know, whatever comes. This faith will see me through the storms. You call me to be fearless always. Your strength is mine, I won't be afraid."
Right.
Now for me, that's not worship. Because it's not proclaiming the glory of someone else.
I kind of get that, but also It's sort of declaring what God's done for us, right? So
Yep.
and we're a part of the equation, aren't we? There's two parties in this relationship, me and God.
Yep.
And so to ignore the me part, that's like half the equation, isn't it?
I'm not saying to ignore the me part, but in a time of worship, I think you should have worship. There's obviously a conversation that we have with God, and that's good to build a relationship and to acknowledge what He has done for us and things like
That's
that.
what I was just going to say. Can we worship? Can we declare in worship what God has done for us?
Well, biblically, that doesn't seem to be what the examples are.
All right.
Like Revelation 4:8, we get an idea of what worship is like in
Yeah.
heaven, which you probably already know. And it says that basically the beings in heaven are singing, "Holy, holy, holy, Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come," and that's fully centered on God, and that's fully proclaiming the glory of God.
Yeah.
And we also see other verses as well that say that it should be less of me and more of God.
Mm-hmm.
And as we become less, He becomes more, and our lives are basically better because of it. So that's what I was just thinking. Like, why is a lot of the focus on us these days?
Yeah, I can understand your point. That the words that you just read from Revelation 4:8 are exactly used within at least a couple of songs. I think I can recall. Yeah,
definitely.
Very very famous worship songs, some of them. So you wouldn't have a problem with those, obviously.
No.
They're good examples of worship. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but maybe it's limiting though if we're only talking about God without talking about how God has affected us, which is what I think the problem is with the first example you shared, is it did seem to be focused on us or talking about us, or our experience of God. But also the other thought I had is that I've heard it taught that somewhere in the Bible it describes the throne room of God as angels just worshipping like you just described from Revelation, holy, 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 and it's like as they come, as they're kind of this picture. I don't know who described it like this, of the throne room filled with angelic beings constantly worshipping God for eternity. But each time they transcend around the awesome, almighty throne room, they're seeing something new about God and a new perspective of God.
Yeah.
Each time round, if you like, so holy, holy again, but not like it. So it never seems to be the same.
Yeah.
Now, in a worldly sense, we can't yet, hopefully, prayerfully, faithfully, we believe that is what we will experience for ourselves one day, not just the angels. But whilst we're here, our human limitations, we find it difficult with just worshipping in if you like a limited capacity. Maybe I'm just trying to get my words right. So sometimes that's why the focus can seem to be on us, because the comprehension of God's fullness is impossible for us while we're here on earth.
But you can still learn and understand aspects of God's personality and what He has done and who He is. Maybe not to the fullest, obviously, because we don't have that capacity. But like the angels in heaven, as you said, they just kept saying, "Holy, holy, holy," as they discovered more and more about God, and they would sing about themselves.
Yeah, I think I can concede that point. But my question would be then: is that the majority of songs or the minority? Do you think?
It depends on which circles you're in, I think. Because obviously, there's a lot of different types of Christian songs. If you go to a lot of Church of England, more traditional songs, I think they're more focused on God from my personal experience. But a lot of these newer churches, like where I started talking about young churches aimed at young people, it's like they try and sing about ourselves to try and keep us interested.
Yeah.
Because
like that, is it?
Well, pretty much. Because it's like, I don't know how to say it quickly. I feel like you've got to be in a certain headspace as you go into worship to be able to, obviously it's not our objective, but to receive whilst worshipping as well, if it's true worship. Whereas in these songs, it kind of forces you to try and be grateful and to be happy and to...
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're strong now because you won't be afraid and you're not going to be fearless and your faith will see you through the storms. And it's like, yeah, I get that, but I realize that as I enter truly into worship and focus on God. Because as I focus on how good He is and how much He is my Father, then everything else goes away.
Right.
I was kind of wondering when you were saying that, like, should we be getting anything out of worship if it's all for God? Because a lot of people say like it gives them great feelings and stuff like that. I mean, is that bad then?
It's not bad to get great feelings out of worship. I think it's a byproduct for most worship, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't worship if we're not getting good feelings.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the main goal or even the focus at all. I shouldn't think any. I don't think that should be the main focus because that's again on ourselves. The focus should be giving glory to God, but other good stuff comes along with it
as a consequence of, rather than the main purpose for. Yeah.
Whereas I feel like these songs that talk about ourselves, the main purpose is to try and build me up, which I get. Like building ourselves up is good, and speaking things over ourselves is good, but that's not worship.
No.
In my definition of worship, I suppose.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's a valid point to make because I've heard other people say similar things.
Oh, really?
Not for some time, I must admit, but in conversations I've had in the past, I've heard people having problems with some of our modern day worship songs, and the focus is in the wrong place. So yeah, it's an interesting point.
May I ask you, do you feel like an old fuddy-duddy when you say things like this to them?
Yes, I've talked to multiple church leaders, and they just don't understand what I'm talking about, and kind of push me off.
Really?
And it's like you just feel like, I don't know, it's a bit weird. Like obviously I was talking to Tim about it when we were at Momentum. You probably remember for it. And he said that I spoiled him for worship because before I talked to him, he hadn't ever thought about it before, and now he's realizing everywhere.
When you start looking for it, you find it.
Yeah, but apart from that, like everyone goes, "What?"
I guess you've really got to look at the lyrics and start to think about it, haven't you? Because otherwise, you just sort of sing it and that's it, don't you?
But it describes in the Bible of us going into the Holy of Holies. I don't know how you can do that when you're focusing on yourselves. I don't know how that's possible. Going to the Holy of Holies during worship by singing about myself. It's completely counterintuitive in my understanding. How am I going to go towards God when I'm looking at myself? I don't know.
Okay, let me have bring another thought to it, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What do we think the difference is between praise and worship?
I don't think there is any. I think we've made one in a modern church to try and differentiate between a fast song and a slow song.
Yeah.
It's like
praise is the ones that you jump and clap to.
Exactly.
And worship is the ones you stand still and put your hands in the air.
Yeah.
That's really showing us where our backgrounds are from. That is
exactly.
It?
Whereas obviously, if you just think of the word praise, it means the exact same thing as worship.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to need some Latin origins.
I don't have them, unfortunately.
Too bad.
It's just lifting someone else up higher than you, isn't it? And giving glory to them, honouring them.
Okay, so that's a good answer. I like that. Yeah. But in thinking about that question, I also have another. When we think about prayer, and we haven't talked about prayer as a subject before on this podcast, but it might be something we could come back to.
Yeah.
Prayer comes in different forms, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking often we'll come to prayer as a type of worship, because worship isn't just sung, obviously.
No.
I think hopefully you know, and many of us will know that, and listeners might know that, and this is the first song you've listened to a conversation along these lines. But worship can be done in many different formats, you know.
Yeah.
But because we worship him with our lives, not just with our mouths. When we pray, we kind of enter into like a pattern, if you like, of acknowledging God and worshipping him in our prayer. If you can do this by breaking down the Lord's Prayer, you know, and then you can exalt God, and then you can bring your requests to God, and you can bring your thanksgiving to God, and so prayer can take on these different facets, if you like.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if there's space for worship to do the same. You know, for our sung worship, clarify, our sung worship can be a bit like that. Not that these songs that include a lot of focus on what God has done for us, as compared to those songs which are just talking about who God is, but actually expressing in that example you first gave us what he has done and why we are thankful for it, that's another type of worship rather than it's a second class worship. It's just a different facet of worship.
I think that's definitely true because, I've got a thought with our attitude when we come to God to worship, and I'm thinking like the Bible talks about worship being a sacrifice and having to worship in spirit and in truth, and like sometimes when we come to worship, it is a sacrifice because we just don't feel like it.
You don't want to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like,
it's the last thing you want to do. Yeah.
Why should I be grateful to God right now? My life sucks right now, but that's when it becomes, something like a sacrifice. But other times it feels great. We love worshiping God and stuff.
Yeah.
So at least in that aspect, I think it does take on different forms.
Yeah.
For us, I don't know if what you think about that.
Yeah, I think it definitely does take in different forms for sure. And there's worship with our physical posture as well, which is all over the Bible. Come, let us bow down in worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. That's Psalm 95:6. Then there's other ones where it's worship with gladness and joy, and like what we would call as Protestants or Church of England praise songs, like jumping around and clapping. As it comes to Dad's point, it depends on what you're meaning for that area of the service or of the fellowship to be.
Yeah.
If it's supposed to be, I don't know. Yeah.
I think to conclude it, maybe this might be what you're thinking. I think if you exclude one facet of worship, if you only include one type of worship and exclude the other, then you are missing out. I think my answer to your first question is there room for both? Or no, it's another question, isn't it? I'm answering a question with a question. I think there is room for both. I think it's right that in sung worship, I can give thanks to God for what he's done for me. And to do that, the song lyrics are going to probably include the words me, my, and I, I know that's taking the focus off God and putting it on me, but it is giving thanks for what he's done for me. But if I only ever sing songs like that in worship, in corporate worship times, then I'm missing a massive amount of what true worship really is. If I don't include the songs that are just honouring and exalting and just thanking God for who he is, not for what he's done.
You can worship for who he is as well. It makes me think that the Lord's Prayer that you brought up, that is split into different parts. Obviously, the first part is obviously my Father who's in heaven. So my Father who's above me, in heaven, even further above me, as in like glory. Hallowed be your name. Like your name is holy above everything. And then declaring his splendor over everything. Thy kingdom come, like thy will be done. That is the part of the prayer that is worship, in my understanding anyway. And then so you give worship, you declare who he is, and then you do the other stages as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the giving thanks is actually worship.
It's an interesting thought, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking, sorry, go on.
No, I didn't put my points over in saying this is the answer. I'm just thinking on the go here, and it's just something that occurred to me, but I'm not sure that's the correct resolution for it. Yeah.
When I'm thinking about this, and you're talking about people who come to worship for their own sake or something like that, and it makes me think, well, there are people out there who pick their church based on the quality of the music, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard about this, and some people say they've given up on Christianity because they were no longer feeling stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess this is the trap. I know we're talking about giving God what his just deserts, but also it's like poison to us as well if we think that worship is for us.
Yeah, that's a good point. Which I think is what Devon's saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Worship isn't for us.
Exactly.
Thanksgiving's for us. Yeah.
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 But see, I don't know. My church even has like a drop in the song. So like, I don't know if it's like a electronic dance music term where it kind of builds up and then it drops and everyone dances. Like that's the kind of there's
and how
no
are you
lyrics
coping with that?
Not well.
Yeah.
I haven't
Oh,
well, for the
mate.
past like 2 years, but it's something that the Lord gives us grace for, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought you enjoyed the drop.
In songs that I'm not supposed to be worshipping God in, yeah, I'm down for a drop or two. But,
Okay.
but I don't know. It seems to be very oriented on keeping people entertained and keeping people. It's like
Are
easy
all of
consumable.
is all of their worship lyrics as you've described,
It's
or
probably about
is there space
75% of them.
for... Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for an entire song to be like I described.
So, do you think it's a lack of creativity then, that on behalf of the songwriters or the musicians themselves? Not that I'm criticising anybody, because obviously they've got talent I don't have, and gifting that I don't have. To be imaginative about how we worship God without putting the focus on us, I just think, in my limited ability, I think I would find it easier to talk about the stuff that God has done for me than creatively writing lyrics that are all about God only without putting any focus on me. I think I would. I would find that a harder song to write.
You don't want to get copyright strike, do you?
No.
By the Bible.
Yeah. I think
because he is literally difficult to describe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And our first-hand experience is what God's done for us.
Yeah.
And so that's much easier to relate to.
Definitely. I definitely think it does require less creativity in terms of not making something that sounds as similar to another really massive traditional song.
Those verses you read from Revelation 4:8.
Yeah. Or even like ones from, I don't know, King of Kings or whatever, like the classics that we have. So it just gives us a lot more wide range of vocabulary to use if we don't just focus on God.
But I think also, personally, I haven't been to Devon's church. I don't think I've ever been a part of a church where they do these sorts of things. But I think it might be personally a part of the whole progressive Christianity movement. Like, I know a lot of people have come against Bethel and Hillsongs for this sort of thing, and a lot of it is sprouting out of their theology. Not, well, I don't know, maybe it is a lack of creativity, like you say, but also they have this sort of me-focused theology, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, if their theology aligned with what I was thinking, then they wouldn't be having these kind of songs at all, because they would be fervently against it. But so there has to be something, whether it's not realizing it, or whether it's actively trying to turn your focus inwards.
Because I think there is a Christianity out there that says inward, look at me.
It's like self-help.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that applies to your church or the churches that do this sort of thing.
I mean, it's very similar with the sermons as well. You can see it reflected in sermons. Almost every single sermon as well is reflected on how can we make it easier to be a better Christian, not actually teaching me who God is.
Without sounding like being too much of a downer, because these churches are attracting people and the gospel's being shared and people are giving their lives to Christ. So that's all good.
Yeah.
But I would be concerned if that's the only place they get to with them.
Yes.
Exactly. There's more that is available, and if their worship or their teaching isn't bringing people, discipling them towards what's the full gospel, if you like, then those are going to be like the seeds that fall on thorny ground, aren't they? Because our strength doesn't come from the things that you've described in those examples, but actually our strength is from the Lord.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. There is cause for concern, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, is what I'm probably thinking.
Yeah.
Because they are reaching people.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, it can't hurt, but there's more, like, it bottlenecks what can.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What can be. Yeah.
It can be limiting.
So I'm not one of these guys who's on Facebook like bashing Bethel and things like that because of these kind of things. I think people are quite often to bash on these, I guess, newer churches in terms of them being, I don't know, from the devil or whatever. I don't think that at all.
Absolutely not. No. I've been greatly blessed by Hillsongs and Bethel music. Some of the most anointed times of worship I can remember have been to some of that. Some worship music.
Yeah.
But if that's all I could experience, I think, there's more. There's more, isn't there?
Yeah, but I'll read this line again and ask what the point is of this line from this song. There's hope, I know, whatever comes. This faith will see me through the storms. So the hope that you might be thinking about in that first bit, that's not Jesus.
Isn't it?
There's hope, I know, whatever comes. This faith will see me through the storms. So it's hope in your own faith, that your faith will see you through the storms. Like it's, I don't know.
Why is it not the hope of Christ?
Because it says, there's hope, I know, whatever comes. This faith will see me through the storms. So
isn't it the faith in the hope of Christ?
But it says the hope in this faith will see me through the storms. Not Christ will see me through the storms.
I could read it either way.
Your faith does squat all for you.
Ouch.
Oh, now there's another subject. Faith is trusting in what cannot be seen, isn't it?
Yeah.
The substance of things hoped for.
Yes, but without the unseen, there's nothing to happen. So you could have faith in, I don't know, the tooth fairy, but there's no tooth fairy, so nothing's going to happen. So surely the focus shouldn't be on your own faith, and it should be on God, the person who actually does something.
I think it's about bringing people to faith in Christ, putting their trust in God, isn't it? It has to be a faith. We call it our faith journey, don't we? Are you asking me to reevaluate every expression of my vocabulary?
No, I'm not saying
my Christian vocabulary.
I'm not saying that, but to me, that line reads that my own faith will sort it out for me.
Okay.
And I don't know why it wouldn't be that God will sort it out for me. Or not even that. Just like even if it was I have no fear because the Lord is looking after me, or anything like that. But it's my own faith will see me through the storms.
It's probably, yeah.
Is this one of the songs they sing at your church?
Yes.
Written by one of the people at your church?
Yes.
Oh, maybe you should talk to him.
They don't listen to me.
Just give him a slap. Give him a verbal slapping.
No, I've yet to talk to them at this church yet about this kind of thing.
Okay.
Is
it a big church?
It's maybe 5 different what do you call it? Congregations under one church.
Wow.
So it's a few hundred people. Yeah.
I just think it's a lyrical, it's a lovely sounding. Yeah, when you break it down, there's better ways of saying the same thing, but it's a nice. It probably goes well with the music.
Yep.
And it sounds spiritual.
Yep. Yeah. I 100% agree with what you just said.
Nothing more.
It sounds nice and it sounds spiritual.
Yeah, but if we said it better, it might not go so well with the music.
But is that important? As important? Like, I mean, the angels don't really care that they're singing the same line over and over again for eternity.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I assume they tag out so they can go and have a coffee or something like that.
I mean, it may happen.
No.
Yeah, different angels come and go, you know.
We know that the song never ends, so someone like either they're all there all at the same time, or someone tags out.
Yeah.
But that's another.
They got it right.
We're going to wind this up, I think, because we've gone on quite a way with that, and that's been a fascinating subject. I don't know any clearer on it, or any nearer to the answer, or what the best solution is to go forward with, how you develop these conversations and help others to feel and understand in a similar way.
Yeah.
If it indeed, like you said, I think you began by saying there's no right or wrong answer to this. Yeah.
He just says that to make you feel comfortable. So
I know.
It's not. I'm not saying that I have the absolute truth and that whatever you disagree with me is wrong. I'm saying this is what I believe to be true. What do you believe to be true?
Yeah.
I still have my own opinions, even if there's not like a right or wrong answer.
Yeah. And if Devon's church worship leader's listening, I'm sure he loves you, and he appreciates all your hard work, and you serve God with a beautiful heart. I just thought I'd get that in.
Yeah, thank you.
It means so much more coming from you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for covering my back.
On behalf of my son. Okay. Well, I really hope somebody responds to this. I would love to get some feedback on this topic. If anybody listening has got any thoughts on that, or what on earth are you lot talking about? I've never heard anybody have these conversations before. then please write in, text us. We're going to give you some contact details in a moment before we go. Any other thoughts on it you wanted to close with? I'm not cutting you short, am I?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
I came with a list of notes that have nothing to do with what Devon was talking about. So that was a waste.
You saw the title for our conversation,
Yeah.
Worship, and I didn't. Yeah, just
I went,
prepared it
Well,
in depth.
You said, "Oh, what we're going to talk about," and I was like, "Whatever you want." And then you said, "I already know what you're going to talk about." So I was like,
Oh.
"Okay, well, we'll talk about that then."
Wow.
So I thought you would have prepared for it.
I guess wrong. I guess.
Well, I didn't have a clue. All I knew it was worship, but I didn't know which angle. Anyway.
Well, next episode we'll do worship part 2, and I'll talk about what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Let's set your next assignment and say farewell.
Okay. Can't remember if we have an intro for this section, but I just wanted to mention what we're going to be talking about next time. In the next episode that gets released will be our assignment chat. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah. Why not?
You call it something else.
I call it homework probably, but it's not. It's not.
Oh,
Whatever it's called.
You call it We Review. That's what you call it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course you call it We Review. Anyway, so We Review assignment chat next week or next time. Who could tell what week it will be? It's going to be when we review a book. Would you like to tell us which one, Ford?
Yes, the votes are in. We're reviewing The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. It's a collection of 12 short stories by Arthur Conan Doyle, published in like 1892 or something like that.
Wow.
You like the old literature, don't you?
Mm.
We aren't reading all 12, are we?
Well, they're short stories.
Yeah,
I
but
guess
we ought to choose one.
one.
One or two.
Oh no.
Well, 12 short ones make one very big one. So we really need to choose one of the short ones.
It's 307 pages. I don't know if that's a lot to you.
Divided by 12. I'm not reading 300 pages before next time we record.
Audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be listening to a few of those or reading, depending.
Yeah, the average is about
Reading.
25 pages per short story. Okay.
Easy.
Okay, so we'll probably need to let the listener know which one we're going for, but without having sight of it in front of us, never mind. You can't. We'll have to just tune in and listen. I think we should select one, though.
Yes.
One.
Just say this goes to the first one or whatever. Like, I don't know.
The first one's pretty good.
Okay, that's the first one.
All right, then. If you know it, if you know it's a good one, let's go for that, whatever it's called. The first...
A Scandal in
the-
Bohemia.
Okay, thank you. We're getting somewhere. Well done. Okay.
Acting like I don't know what I'm talking about.
And anybody to help me prepare for this show. So I think just to remind everybody then, you can find us on all major podcast platforms and on YouTube, which you probably know because that's why you're listening to us. Please do click one of those buttons that make noises and bells and whistles. And why not leave a review? I hear other podcasters saying that. Leave a review. It helps spread the word. You can also feed back to us using Twitter with @theoryofanything, T-I-N-G at the end, and also email us if people are still using email. I heard the other day that millennials don't use email anymore. Did you know that?
I don't know how
I
you
know
don't
that
use
very
email.
Does anyone?
Everything asks for an email address.
Have they moved back to sending letters then?
Yeah, that's the only way.
The written word.
Yeah.
For the reviews, though, you don't have to do anything complicated. You can just say great or bad, whatever you want.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
even that would help.
Yeah, short and sweet. I don't know.
Good. So email us at theoryofanything@hotmail.com. And I think that's about it. I don't need to say any more than that, do I?
No?
Apart from, are we ready?
Yep.
I'm ready.
Until we meet around the microphone again next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.